Hello, everyone, and welcome to our latest online event here at the University of California, Merced. My name is Ricky Hill. I am the e-recruiter here at UC Merced. A big welcome to you this evening. Thank you so much for joining us as we get ready to jump into our presentation that we are calling, as you see on your screen, Spring 2023 New Resident Move-In UC Merced Housing. Before we get started, let me first give you a very big wish for a Happy New Year. All right, let's go ahead and also do a quick Zoom review before we get started. If you'd like to adjust your audio settings, you can do that in the lower left corner of your screen. If you would like to adjust the size of your window, go ahead and click on View Options in the upper portion of your screen. Lastly, and most importantly, we are always here to get to your questions, so take full advantage of the Q&A button that you should see there on your screen. Click on that button, send us your question, and we will hang on to those until the end of our presentation when we will offer you a live question and answer session. We are fully staffed behind the scenes, so you may also get a response as we go, but please pay close attention to our presentation as we will be covering quite a lot of ground tonight, and we may actually get to your question before we get to that question and answer session. Once again, we're so excited to have you join us tonight as one of our first events of the new year. My name is Ricky Hill, the e-recruiter at this time. It's my great pleasure to hand things over to my friend and colleague, Scott.
Thanks, Ricky. It's a pleasure to be here tonight and to welcome our new campus residents and maybe some residents that are returning to campus that want to join in this session as well. My name is Scott Lepla. I'm the Interim Director of Housing Services at UC Merced, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about the move-in process here for spring 2023. Spring term is a little different for us. There's different expectations. Particularly around the size of move-in. And so we're going to talk a little bit about those things to help you understand how to get ready to join us in campus housing. We're going to talk about things you can do before you arrive to prepare. We'll talk about how to check in. We'll talk about where to put your car and then on the process of unloading and some general expectations. There are some steps in here we're going to break down as we go through, but our goal today is to give you a sense of when you come to campus, where you should go, what you should do, and what steps you need to take so that you can get settled into your room space on campus. So I do want to talk, there's kind of two audiences. We originally were planning this session just for new campus residents, folks that are moving, that were going to be new to campus housing for spring term. Then we also opened it up a little bit later for maybe folks that were already living with us in fall 2022, but maybe had questions about returning back. And so this slide is targeted for students who lived with us in fall, but want to know about returning in the spring. So if you lived with us in fall, and then just went home for break and left all your stuff here, you can come back after 10 a.m. on Sunday, January 15th without any extra cost. If you need to come back early, we can do that. You can use the winter reservation process that we emailed about in the fall. It's also on our webpage and on the portal, and you can pay to come back earlier than that if necessary. If you're coming back for employment, your employer may sponsor it, but talk to them before you put the reservation in if they'll cover your cost. Oops. I go back. I also recommend if you're a resident with us in fall, you can check your new room assignment. Some of the folks that are on this call may be your new roommates, and you'll be able to see that in the housing portal. We've updated both the room assignments and the roommates to show roommates for spring. If you're returning, you don't have to do any check-in. So you're not going to come, when you arrived in fall, you went to a central location, we issued you keys, swiped you in. You don't do that for spring. You are going to need to check in with your RA sometime in the first couple of weeks, just so they know you're present. They're going to do what we call a roster audit to make sure we know you're here. But that's really all you have to do. There's no formal process. You don't have to go visit staff or come do anything. Although I would recommend you might want to come check your mail. You may have some packages or things that arrived over break, and we'd appreciate you grabbing those things, and you're probably going to want what's in there. The parking and unloading will be a little bit more restricted than it is in the fall. If you're returning back, if you have things unload, you can park in Scholars Lot, and we're going to show that a little bit later, but it's pretty much the same unloading areas we had in the fall, with the exception that we won't have the nose in parking that's available on Scholars Lane, and that's available on I'm totally blanking on between the rec center and Tuolumne. That we used to be able to unload there when you're doing the big move in and move out, but you'll have to park in Scholars Lot if you're on North Campus and Bellevue Lot if you're on South. We will have some dollies available for checkout. These aren't the big rolling carts, but they're dollies that can either be used as an upright dolly, or you can lay them flat and convert them into like a rolling 4-wheel dolly. And we did issue folks COVID tests, self-tests prior to departure. You can use those. We recommend that you take the COVID self-test before you come to campus. So before you get in the car, just make sure that you test negative before you come back. We're going to ask you to test again when you get back to your room. There'll be a COVID test on your bed. Take that COVID test. But if you test positive at home, at least you can rest and recuperate at home. Classes don't begin until Tuesday. And depending on your schedule, you may not even have classes until Wednesday. And so if you test positive, just hang out at home. And then you can come back after you're clear, report that to the COVID response center, but you can do that. You can do all that before you come back, and then you'll do another test when you get back. Now, if that's information that was helpful for you, if you're a returning student coming back from the fall, if this checked your box and you got your information you need to know, you're welcome to drop off. I'll stay around. You can ask questions in the Q&A as well. But housing services is also open this week. It's best to reach us by email, housing@ucmerced.edu. Starting on Monday, we'll have our staff back to work the phone. So the phone's been a little bit slow there, but if you send us an email, we're usually good about getting back to you. We're gonna shift a little bit and talk about what if you're a new resident, right? How you can move in. So if you're a brand new resident, if this is your first time coming to campus, you can, what I recommend, even if you haven't got a room assignment, although I believe all of you have room assignments at this point, you can check if your housing contract status is in contract signed. What I'm showing you here is the application status page. So when you click on 2022-2023 academic year housing application, you'll then open up the spring application, and it'll display the status. You'll see if your contract is signed, which is good to verify now if you have questions. Now I took this picture with my training students, so it doesn't have building room information, but you'll see an assignment summary there. You'll also see a section down here, which I've highlighted this box called the move-in time, and clicking on that will allow you to schedule an appointment for move-in. We'd like to stagger the arrival times for new residents on January 12th. You can arrive really anytime January 12th to the 15th, but this helps us prepare. We're going to be oriented mostly around January 12th for new students moving in, because if you're a new transfer student or a new first-year student, you'll likely be attending orientation on Friday. So if you're going to be at orientation on Friday, you can schedule a time to arrive on January 12th. If you're a student that's coming back to us, if you've been with UC Merced, maybe you're on study abroad, or you're at UCDC or one of those other great opportunities off campus, you can come back really anytime you want. You don't have to schedule a return time, but it's helpful to us to do so. But there's no requirement to do it. But if you do schedule it, you can change it anytime. You'll see the tools. It's a simple booking tool in there. This is a listing of what to bring and what to leave. So if this is your first time joining us on campus, there's some things that we recommend that you're going to want to bring, and I want to just clarify a few of these items here. We have this information. We spend a lot of time in the summertime, hammering these messages home. But for this group, I want to make sure that you know that all our beds are twin extra longs. So if you're looking for sheets for our beds, it's twin extra long sheets. Those are the sheets, and we have plenty of information about this on our website. When you go through, you'll find it there. You'll want to make sure you bring a comforter too. It's been chilly here, so normally Merced is quite warm, and usually have to worry about the air conditioning cooling, making you too cold. But it's been cold and windy, so make sure you bring a jacket. It may be raining. I mean, we haven't seen what's going on with California. Hopefully the weather will be clear by then. But you want to make sure you bring the bedding, so pillows, blankets, twin extra long sheets. You want to bring medications and insurance. This can be a copy of an insurance card if you're using your insurance from your family or a parent or guardian. You'll want to make sure you bring any medications, and if necessary, have worked through the process by which you can refill those. So if you need to transfer a prescription here to Merced where you can get access to it, taking those steps in advance is very helpful. You want to make sure if you're thinking about getting a job on campus, we have plenty of opportunities for student employments. You're going to want to bring personal records like your maybe a birth certificate and driver's license, some kind of like the documents. If you look for I-9 documents, that can establish the right to work. Those can be helpful. You may want to bring other things that, are necessary. You should have your CAT card, and maybe you'll get your CAT card if you don't have it already. You'll want to think about bringing maybe 2 small locks. Combination locks are pretty easy. You can use a keyed lock as well, but your dressers in your rooms have like a hasp, so you can lock the top drawer of at least one of your dressers, if not 2. And then if you go to the gym and want to work out, I mean, I used to work out at the gym on campus a lot, and I used to bring a lock there, and you can use the day lockers at the gym. So these little padlocks are really handy when you go around and use services on campus where we have temporary places for you to store things. Hygiene and laundry supplies. So you'll want to think about, you'll need laundry detergent, deodorant, all those like kind of personal supplies. Make sure you got a stash. If you're in a community where even all our housing requires some walking to a bathroom. If you're in a suite style like Valley Terraces or Sierra Terraces, Tuolumne, or Mariposa, you still have to kind of walk from your room into the bathroom. We generally recommend bringing like a little shower caddy, so you can kind of keep your items and make it easy to move it from your room. And on South Campus, you might have to walk a little bit farther, but the hygiene and laundry plus an easy way to move that stuff is helpful. And then one of the things I've added this list, you want to bring if you don't have a long phone cord to charge. So I have an iPhone, so there's like the standard one, which is 1 meter, and then you have the 2 meter, the 6 foot cord, and having that long cord is helpful if you have to bring that up to a top bunk, or if your outlet isn't conveniently placed. I also have been recommending, folks have given me feedback that those like a battery that can charge your phone, you can just use all your existing cords, and you can just take that battery with you up into your bed or wherever you happen to be working, and just use whatever cords you have to charge your phone. But the battery allows you to kind of skip charging your devices from the wall. Things to leave at home. We don't permit any kitchen appliances really in the residence halls. I'm going to talk about those exceptions. There's no kettles and hot plates. If it glows, leave it at home. No toasters, no water boilers, hot plates, anything like that. Don't air fryers, leave those at home. We can't have them in your room. Don't bring any weapons, it's like knives or firearms for sure, swords, other things like that. Leave those at home. They may be decorative, but still it's considered a weapon under our policies, so leave them. If you need some kind of exception, like you're on a fencing team or something, you can ask housing about it. We can walk you through that, but leave your weapons at home. Don't bring candles or incense. We don't allow any kind of burning or open flames. So don't bring any of those items. They're dangerous. I mean, a lot of these restrictions are about preventing fire, which is really one of the biggest risks when you have people living together and sharing space. Somebody falls asleep with a candle, somebody's blanket falls on it. Next thing you know, you've got a room fire. So we prohibit those items. Don't bring any pets or animals. You can have an aquarium up to 10 gallons with a fish, but don't bring any other animals. So no dogs, no cats. They're not permitted as pets. If you have a service animal, you can bring the service animal. If you that's specifically a service animal as defined under ADA guidelines, but the emotional support animals, which are different, you need to get pre-approval from those to like document the need for that. You can have one emotional support animal on campus, and it has to be documented prior to arrival. The information for that is on the housing accommodations part on our website. So if you look under the living on campus or the housing options part, you'll see the housing accommodations request, and you'll need that in place before you bring your animal. We do allow 1 microwave per room. So this is like per bedroom, you can have 1 900 watt or less. This is a small microwave. It's not very big. If you get one from like Uncle Rico, hands you this giant microwave, probably 1,000 watts or more. So you're gonna need to look for one. You look for go like Walmart. You look for the smallest microwave. It'd probably be 900 watts. Now, because you're moving in mid-semester, somebody in the room may already have one. So when you get on your housing portal, on your homepage in the housing portal where you turn your application, you can see who your roommates are, and you should be able to email them and ask. You can have up to one 4.2 cubic feet or less refrigerator for every 2 roommates. So this is basically two people can have to share one fridge. So if you're living in a double room, you can have one fridge. If you're in a triple, you can have up to two fridges, or if you're in a quad, you can have two fridges, but that's the limit. You can't have any like 3 refrigerators in a triple. Everybody doesn't get their own refrigerator, and you really don't want it because it will trip breakers and cause problems for you. Kind of a funny story. We had to troubleshoot an issue. A student's printer wouldn't work, and we figured out it's because they had like 3 appliances, 3 refrigerators in there, and every time the printer would kick on, it was like an old printer, so it would like put a lot of juice, and it would kill the power to their room every time they tried to print. So these things, do yourself and your roommates a favor and kind of stay in these guidelines. You can also bring a single serve coffee maker. This is like a Keurig style where you just use either a reusable cup, like a little basket where you make one cup of coffee at a time, or you can use the disposable K cup style. But you can use that single serve coffee maker. You cannot bring a large coffee maker, like a 12 cup kind of traditional coffee maker, because of the hot plate and the energy requirements. This QR code here in the upper right hand corner, you can come back to this if you watch the recording, or if you want to use your phone to follow it now. It'll take you to the dedicated page where we have more information about what to bring and what to leave. I didn't talk about Wi-Fi routers. We have wireless, high-speed wireless in all the residence halls. South campus buildings, El Portal, Glacier Point, Granite Pass, and Sentinel Rock do not have Ethernet ports, and so there's nothing to plug into. It's Wi-Fi only. On North Campus, there are Ethernet ports, but you generally would not want to use those. You don't want your own Wi-Fi running because you will disrupt the Wi-Fi, maybe even your own Wi-Fi service. But rooms around you can get signals that cancel each other out. So we ask that you leave those Wi-Fi routers at home. If you're on North Campus and you want to turn one Ethernet port into 2, just bring a switch. They're a lot cheaper and they don't produce any signal. So we ask that you get online and verify your building and room assignment on the housing portal. Our assignments are complete, and for most of you, I'm hoping you've got a chance to at least look at and maybe make changes to your room assignments and make those room assignments yourself when you're going through the process. We did begin with room self-selection again this term, so hopefully you got a chance to see that. Our housing inventory will continue to change, and if there are, you can always go back and look and see if there are new vacancies, and you can make those changes online through tomorrow. Depending on how much inventory we have, maybe we may leave it open, but if the link is there and it lets you change, you can go in and change your room at that time based on what is available and open. There may be some times that if you chose a room, we may have had to reassign you. We send emails when we do this to let you know, but there may be, we may get ADA accommodations that require us to either free up of space or to adjust the way a space is assigned, or we may need to correct some, like sometimes the way the rooms are configured and the students are living there, we may need to take action to correct a gender mismatch in assignment. So there are some reasons where we may need to get in there. We will contact you if that's the case, but your portal will always show you what your room assignment is at that time. So if you ever have any questions, you can always go check it at the portal. We will ask that before you come to campus, please take a COVID test if you can. If it's not too expensive, or you'll take one when you get here, but I recommend, you heard me say it to the students that are returning, it's best to take one before you come. So if you test positive at that time, you can stay at home and recuperate, where you can get support and you don't have to worry about masking up and being around your roommates and being in isolation here. It's much easier to be isolated at home, and you still have, within 5 days, if you're going to come on the 12th, you can still, get back for classes on Wednesday pretty easily, if not sooner. So I wanted to show a little bit about this is what your room assignment looks like on the portal. So you can see here, this is my test student. They have a couple of different room assignments here, and this student doesn't have a roommate. So in this 155A, there's no roommate here. Let me move oh, sorry, they do have a roommate. I had the little status bar over there and I thought I forgot to update this, but I did. I use this as an example. So when you see your roommate here, when you see your room assignment, this is a person that had history. So if you're coming back to Merced, this is all the different places you've been assigned. And then this is your last For spring 2023, it's always what your active assignment is. So fall 2022, this was your active assignment. In spring 2023, this person's living in San Joaquin, and their roommate is training student 2, and you can see their email here. So you'll be able to see emails on the portal. If you do update and choose a move-in time through the tool we talked about, when you pick your move-in appointment, it won't change any arrival dates that may display on here. So sometimes we display dates here. I don't have them here, but if we do put an arrival date, it won't change. Your move-in time is separate because you can change that really at any time. We do have early arrival options. So if you need to come between January 8th and January 11th, you'll get billed at the daily rate for the room type. So there's different information. If you can always call and ask our office or email our office what the daily rates are for your room, but it's different. But it ranges between $48 a day for a quad and $56 a day for a triple. That's the most common room types. And so it'd be that plus $19 a day for meals. So if you come, one day early, it would be, let's say, and you're a quad, it'd be $48 plus 19. If you come on the 11th, if you come on the 10th, it would be, 96 dollars plus the $20 basically for meals. So that's how you pay per day. If you won't have the option of using the winter reservations, so just email housing@ucmerced.com and we'll get you set up for early arrival if you need it. Sorry, jumping around here. You get to move in on January 12th without any additional cost. We do that so that you can attend orientation. January 15th is when housing opens for all other returning campus residents. So there's about 60 of you currently slated to move in for spring. These folks who are new residents who are moving in to campus housing for spring term. But there's still 3,900 other students on campus, and most of them will come back January 15th. After 10 a.m. So you'll have a few days to kind of navigate to get things set up in most cases. Some folks will be back, about 200-300 students on campus who are working on campus or come back early for training or other things. But for the most part, everyone will be back 10 a.m. January 15th. So on move-in day, you're going to come to campus. This is the kind of order of operation. So you're going to first, get to campus, check in and get your keys. You're going to complete your COVID self-test. So go to your room. So you want to get your keys, go to your room, take your COVID self-test. If that comes back clean, good to go, then negative, then you can just then continue to unload. Obviously, if it comes back positive, you'll want to, there's the COVID response center, the CRC. And if you talk, you can, you want to have a mask and you can work with us. If it comes back positive, just talk to your RA. They can help you with that. There's also phone numbers and information. The test kit itself, when they put it on the bed, it comes with instructions on what to call, who to contact if the kit is positive, and how to report it if it's negative. So in both ways, the instructions are there. So just follow the instructions to report, and then, but you'll want to do that before you unload. And then you can depart and then go out and, if it's your first time on campus, we have some new first years joining us. There's some great restaurants downtown. Some of if your roommates are back already, they can give you some suggestions, but, and enjoy your time and getting moved in. I'm showing here on this map, I just wanted to show the traffic flow where you'll move. I mentioned Scholars Lot and Bellevue Lot, but I kind of wanted to show you where those things are at on campus. So as you drive up on either Lake Road or Bellevue, like the bottom part here is this kind of main intersection between Bellevue and Lake Road. If you're moving into El Portal, Sentinel Rock, or Granite Pass, you're going to move in up here at the very top of the page at that yellow box. That is the Bellevue lot. That's where you could park. And you'll use that. You'll kind of follow these arrows here along the sidewalks over here to Valley Terraces. This is where we're going to do check-in. It's called the Terraces Center. It's over next to the Yablokov Wallace Dining Center. There's an ATM there. So if you find the ATM, that's the place to go. But you can park here, come over, get your keys, get any dollars you might need, then go to your room, do your COVID test, and then come back and start unloading after that's done. If you're moving in, many of you will be moving into Valley Terraces or Sierra Terraces. You use the Scholars Lot to park, come in, get your keys, go to your room, take your test, and then begin unloading when that's done. Another good reason to go to get your COVID test and go check out your room first is to make sure that your room's ready. We're going to be checking these rooms as well try to make sure they're ready. But some students may be back, or maybe some students didn't move out, or maybe they like left some space in there, so it kind of looks, there's going to be students living in your room already. So you'll want to make sure that if you get there and if you find something's wrong before you unload, if there's something you have questions about, you can come back and ask us that at the Terraces Center, and we can help clarify anything or help you kind of sort out whatever situation you might find. The check-in for this is pretty quick. So when we talk about fall, maybe you saw some folks move in fall. In fall, we're moving in like over 4,200 people. So there's tends to be more like time waiting for elevators, more time moving in, more time to get carts. We don't have that same concern now. That's going to be pretty quick. There's not going to be much of a wait to get anything. Now make sure that you go, once you get your keys, go and complete your COVID self test. You're welcome to stay if you really don't have any place to go. Most of our students that tested positive at move in and fall elected to just go home and recuperate with friends or family and that space, because it's a little bit better than moving into an isolation space here and then being starting your year that way. Waiting, there may be a wait for some elevators, particularly on South Campus. There's 2 elevators for each building. I don't think there'll be much of a wait for these, but from Mariposa and Tuolumne, there's only 1 elevator for each of those buildings. If you're moving upstairs, just think about packing light, and then bringing things that you can carry up a flight of stairs if necessary. We won't have it comes up. Sometimes parents or families ask because they want to bring maybe some family that maybe has like mobility limitations. We won't have any like golf carts or transportation for campus guests. We don't offer that in the fall really either, and we don't offer it in winter. So if you look at if we back up, this is the advice I give folks at fall. Like, if your grandmother wants to come see you off to college, just be aware, like, you might want to think about, do they really want to walk all the way over here, walk all the way back, and then do multiple trips back and forth up to Glacier Point 6-4. Just think about that. It's a little bit different in the summer because it's like 105 degrees usually, but we always ask folks, it's a lot of walking. Move in is a lot of walking and moving things, distances, and pushing dollies. So just we don't have a lot of we don't have any cart transportation. So wear comfortable shoes and encourage your guests to do the same. There won't be the rolling laundry bins. You may see some of those and move in materials that we posted in the past. We'll have dollies that can convert, but there won't be any of the big like rolling bins for move in. All right. That pretty much covers most of the content that we want to share for move in currently. I'm happy to take questions at this time about anything that maybe we didn't talk on or clarify anything in the presentation.
Very good. Thank you so much, Scott. That is so informative. I think you've actually touched on pretty much everything our audience may have had questions on. We do have one question, though, that has come in. How many new students are moving in on the 12th?
I'd have to check exactly on the 12th, but the maximum number would be 61, because that's the maximum number of new contracts. But of that, some number will be folks that are just returning to campus that maybe were on study abroad or took a semester off. So I think that number will be probably closer to probably 50 students moving in that day across those 8 hours. So it's not going to be a very congested process.
Very good. Well, one last reminder to everyone that is in attendance tonight, if you do have any last minute questions, now is the time to go ahead and drop those into the Q&A section, and we will get to those before we wrap up. Scott, is there anything at the end here that you haven't mentioned or that you would like to reiterate before we do our closing?
Yes, thank you for reminding me. If you signed your contract and got your room assignment after January 3rd, you may not have been billed yet. Your billing will be updated early next week. So we'll get those updated. So if you don't see housing on your bill, you're welcome to reach out. You should see housing and dining on your bill. You're welcome to reach out, and we can either manually update you, or you'll be running the batch process early next week. But if it's really stressing you out and you want to get that in there, get that bill set up, just email us at housing@ucmerced.edu and we can get that set up.
Fantastic. We do have some questions rolling in, so thank you so much to everyone in attendance. Let's go ahead and dive in. How do the kitchens on campus work?
Right, we have several community kitchens depending on which buildings you're living in. So if you're in Valley Terraces, you'll have access to kitchens in either Alpine Room or the Mariposa Hall kitchens. If you are in Half Dome, you'll have a kitchen in Half Dome that you'll have access to. And if you're on South Campus, there's one community kitchen on South Campus, that's Glacier Point, Granite Pass, El Pochon, and Sentinel Rock, and that's in Glacier Point. And all South Campus residents have access to that. It's the kitchens are really designed for people to do kind of intermittent things or special things. So like maybe baking a birthday cake or making cookies on occasion. It's not really meant to be kind of a full kitchen where people make food regularly. So all the kitchens are kind of set up that way, but they have a full oven, a range, and a microwave and a sink. There aren't any, we don't provide like community pots and pans at this time. And so you would need to bring anything you would want to make to cook with. Again, you can't bring appliances, but you can bring pots if you're going to make like food on the regular in the kitchen. You think if there's something you're going to make every week that's special for you, you can do that. Yeah, so that's how the kitchens work. I'm looking down the list here. Yeah, is there food available during weekend after orientation? Yes, the dining hall is currently open, and food will continue to be served at the Yablochkov Wallace Dining Center. That's the North Campus Dining Center next to the housing office, and food's available there from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I believe. So there'll be food available before, during, and after orientation as well.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Scott. We do have one more question here. So this person is writing in that they are a new student and they will be moving in on the 16th. Do they need to pay an extra fee? And also, does the bedding include bringing a mattress? But we provide the mattress for them, correct?
Yep, we provide the mattress and the bed frame. We also provide a desk chair, and dressers with about 4 dresser drawers. And 2 of them should be lockable. So you don't need to bring any of the furniture, and really we discourage you from bringing furniture. But you don't need to bring a mattress. We provide those mattresses. And if you're moving in on the 16th, you wouldn't incur any additional fees. You only incur fees if you move in before your contract start date, which is January 15th at 10 a.m. For new residents, brand new residents, you can move in on the 12th, right? So even though your contract starts on the 15th, we allow you to move into 12th. If you're a new resident, you would only incur fees if you move in before the 12th.
Wonderful. Another question. Are there water stations in the halls where they can refill their reusable water bottles?
Yes, many of the halls do have water stations in them where you can refill, and your RA is a great resource to help orient you to where those are. And if there aren't any near you in your residence hall, there are some other ones around campus that you can access, and like in the Terraces Center where you get your mail, there's a water refill station there as well.
Wonderful. Now, we do understand that students who are living on campus in the residence halls, they have meal plans, but will there be an option to use cash if there's any guests or anyone else that may be interested in getting food at any of these times?
Great question. There will not be a cash option. You can pay but it's got to be by card, not by cash.
Okay, very good. So everyone's able to eat meal plan, but if they don't have a meal plan for whatever reason, maybe it's a family member, they just need to have some form of debit card, credit card, something to use.
Yes, and each meal plan that campus resident purchases comes with 3 guest meals. So and those are you use them, you get 3 for the semester. You can use all 3 at once, or you can just use 1 as well.
Wonderful.
That's another option. If you don't want to pay cash, you can just treat your friend or family to that meal.
Perfect. All right. Does the North Campus dorms, do they have ADA parking that's close by?
Yes, they do. So if you have a placard to park in ADA parking, there's parking in the Calaveras lot, which is behind Valley Terraces. So on Ranchers Road, there's parking there. There's ADA parking in Scholars Lot, and there's also some ADA parking down by the rec center on the road, I believe. The TAPS, Transportation and Parking Services, if you have a specific need, they can help guide you with that. And if there's going to be something where we need to do a room reassignment to get you close to that, that's going to be something you want to reach out to housing at UC Merced about, and we can work with that. So ADA parking is always restricted. You can't park there unless you have a placard. That's true during move-in or any time.
Great. And then
That
a
was,
follow-up question, it does say, can we use the ADA parking on move-in day? So it's always accessible, but they still have to have that placard, correct?
Yes. So you can't like just quick, like, let me park in this ADA spot and go run upstairs. Unless you have the placard, unless you have a placard, you can't use those spaces. That's true 24/7, every day, all year.
Very good. And then just one more follow-up to that. If a student has a vehicle and they also have an ADA placard, are they required to have a TAPS permit also, the transportation and parking?
Yes.
In addition
Yes.
to the ADA.
Mhm.
So the ADA, the disabled handicap placard, that does not kind of exempt them from that, correct?
No, you would still need a permit to park. It's just that the ADA placard allows you to access those other spaces. I would recommend and depending on the like the nature of the need for parking, you may want to reach out to TAPS and just confirm those. But I'm pretty positive that's the way that it works. You're still gonna have to pay for a permit, but they can help you get the permit that might work best for you if you have to use that vehicle to go other places on campus.
Very good. Another question coming in. This one's about Valley Terraces. They're wondering if the desks in the Valley Terraces, are they compatible with a clamp or screw-in style monitor mount?
Off the top of my head, I think none of them are really designed to receive a mount. So I'm gonna say clamp style, where they're gonna be kind of a flat one, but flat where you could move it into the back and use the clamp. But you might want to wait and get an eyes on your desk to be sure. I'm not entirely sure if there's a gap in the back of the desk or if the back of the desk is solid or not. I don't think there is. I think it's open, but that's a good question. You may have to email us at housing, or we can follow up with you on that later. I haven't thought about that in a long time. I always see them up against the wall, so I haven't thought about it, but my guess is going to be clamp, if anything.
Very good. And now this question has to do with the electric scooters that so many students have now. Do we have any
Yeah.
recommendations for them or is there a place on campus that they can safely lock those, or do they bring those into their room?
You can bring them into the room, like you wouldn't leave them outside. A lot of them fold up and you kind of carry them around. Some of the bigger ones, people will park in different places, but the requirements there, like you can bring them into your room and you can charge them in your room. You cannot ride them to and from your room. So you have to get off your scooter when you come in the building, and you carry your scooter either up the elevator or up the stairs to your room. You can plug it in there. You can't ride it around the hallway. Those scooters really, they destroy the carpet if you hit the brakes at all, and it can be really damaging. So don't ride. And it's also just dangerous. Like someone can pop out the side door, and you have a collision there. So you can bring them in your room to charge them. You cannot ride them in the residence halls or in the dining commons.
Great tips and tricks so that everyone is safe on campus. I can just imagine what a disaster that could be. Accident, collision, that would be terrible. All right, everyone. Well, I think we have gotten to everyone's questions so far that has come in. This is your last call. If you do have a question that you have not asked yet, go ahead and send that our way. And I don't know, Scott, you probably have mentioned everything, every last tip that you wanted to tonight. Is there anything else that you'd like to drop in?
Yeah, we're just excited to welcome you to campus and looking forward to seeing you next week.
Very good. Well, thank you so much, Scott, for your great presentation, and everyone behind the scenes. Of course, all of our great participants sending in those wonderful questions and hanging out with us here tonight. And we do have a couple quick reminders for you before we do let you go. Your documents are due coming up on January the 10th. So make sure that you have marked your calendar, that you have everything, all of your loose ends, everything tied up and everything kind of on its way in, or make those requests if you're looking for transcripts, test scores, whatever it might be. get those things sent in and on their way to us. We do have a great website that is for the next step. So it has all of your dates and deadlines listed there. And we will go ahead and drop that over into the chat box. It's actually there now. Thank you so much, Amy. Go ahead and take a quick second, click on that link, and you can peruse that as soon as we're done here with you online. It's a pretty lengthy website, so it's got tons of great info. You've probably already seen it once or twice, but it's definitely a good one to bookmark for future reference. All right, we also have other events coming up. So we have a website for that as well that we will drop over into that chat box. And if you have missed any of these events, or maybe this one tonight you'd like to watch again, or maybe you tuned in a little bit later or have a family member that would like to watch it back, we recorded this event tonight and we do that quite frequently. So on that website that was just dropped over into the chat box, you can take a look there, find all of the on-demand instant replays available. This one should be up in the next day or two. So like I said, you can invite someone else to watch it, or you can just review it yourself again. All right, folks, that's about it for us tonight. I don't see any other incoming questions. So once again, a big thank you, a big happy new year to everyone for this great new year of 2023. We are so excited to have you join us here pretty soon on campus. Have a great night. Once again, my name's Ricky Hill, the e-recruiter, and we will see you next time. Thanks, everyone. Good night.